Hi, folks. This is Dr. Emily Scherning with AR. I want to talk to you today about a long range hurricane outlook because something that I haven't seen folks talking about with Idalia is that Idalia's path is very much following the hurricane trend as we look towards the end of this century. I'm going to show you a figure from the National Climate Assessment that'll help explain what I'm talking about. So this figure is about where we expect to see intense hurricanes in the future. And anyone who has followed hurricanes for a while knows that there are a lot of different models that we use to help build up a consensus for where we think they're going to go. We never quite know, right? They can surprise us, but usually the models come together pretty good as we get close to landfall. So the GFDL and GFDN current models for hurricanes predict 14 to 17 storms a year. And we see the places where we often have very vulnerability to hurricanes over on the Gulf Coast of Texas. There's kind of a hot spot around Mobile and New Orleans. And Florida tends to get whacked both from the Gulf and from the Atlantic. Down here towards the models towards the late 21st century. And this is under the RCP 4.5 pathway. This is under our most likely climate future. Check out this conserved track that's emerging. In both of the models, it's going to be more likely as we move through this century that we get hits right in Big Bend. You see, in the contemporary models, we saw no hits really in Big Bend. We haven't had anything follow Idalia's path for 125 years, but it's following exactly this predicted path where it's going to go through Big Bend after rapid intensification. Look, that's where it was a 4 and then a 3 before landfall, and then crossing over into Georgia and the Carolinas. So if we're talking about a person who has been in the path of Idalia, they've never experienced flooding like this, that is going to be an important threat against which we need to build resilience as we prepare for the changes that are coming. There is some mixed news in this model. You know, with every change, there's going to be both threat and opportunity. I'd like to point out that right now, the models that tend to hammer New Orleans and Mobile, they're kind of splitting, right? We see less direct threats to that part of the Gulf and more to the east and to the west. Towards the east, we see more activity of high intensity hurricanes projected, conserved across both models towards the panhandle. We see a tremendous uptick of activity in the Caribbean and in South Florida. That's an area where we haven't taken so many direct hits down by the Keys. It looks like that's going to be a big challenge. And this is an area that's very dear to my heart is we see a new track emerging coming up in both of those future models towards the west of New Orleans, over towards the border between Texas and Louisiana, where a lot of folks tend to refuge now because there aren't a lot of hurricanes that hit over there at this time. So this is an area that's going to see an intense emerging threat, and you can see it's got a pronounced inland track in both of these models where we're going to get tropical storm activity coming kind of up the back end of Arkansas. If you're interested in looking forward and getting ready for challenges that are emerging, this path of Idalia and this path, which we haven't seen hit yet, but it's highly conserved and it's going to start hitting as 4s and 3s. We need to look out at what's going on in that western bayou, the Texas Louisiana bayou. I want to make a little additional note on that area where that other new track is emerging between Louisiana and Texas, because that's a very special cultural area of our country that does not get the attention it deserves. I had the good fortune to have a car breakdown there very frequently about 20 years ago when I was moving between New Orleans and Houston often, because I worked at Tulane in New Orleans and I was back and forth from NASA at Houston due to the collaboration between the institutions. As a low-level lab monkey, I had a terrible car, and I frequently needed help when I was transporting specimens between the warmth, the care, the love, and the heart of the people I met in those communities have touched me for the rest of my life. And those communities right now are experiencing really serious challenges. The drought is unprecedented. The wildfires are terrible. There's not enough media attention to the transformation, the dangerous transformation that's taking place in the bayou there. My heart goes out to the people there, and I want you to know that I care about you and that I see you. And this emerging threat matters. I know too that you all are like as tough as nails. So hopefully, having some increased awareness around this potential for hurricane tracks to shift west there into the western bayou. Hopefully, we can get the word out. I know that people there have the potential to be just incredibly resilient, and you deserve all of the support that the rest of the country can give you, as do folks who are in this emergent track that Idalia has taken, and which we should be aware the sort of flooding that we're seeing inland from Idalia is not a one-time thing. That's the kind of threat towards which we have to have an increased response and increased resilience as we move through this century. Thanks for listening to this quick update, folks. Thanks for your time, and let's get ready together. Bye. I'd like to make some special thanks this week for everyone who's responded to my volunteer call. You all have really been putting in the hours. It makes a huge difference. I would not have made it through the gate without you. I think we're going to make it. We'll know on Sunday if we've made it through the gate and I'm able to get control of the ads or not. I've been very unwell this week. I have not been well enough to do the work it would have taken for me to do it on my own, that I was able to ask for help and I experienced such a outpouring of kindness has been very moving to me. Thank you very much. And I want to thank everyone who gives. You know, the work that we're doing together to build this channel, to get the message out there, to give our fellow Americans better access to high consensus science so that we know how the climate is likely to change in our area. It's the work that all of us are putting in, the time, the hours, the outreach, the money to fund the operation. It's all coming from you. Thank you so much. We're moving into year 3 of American Resiliency's existence. On September 10th, I'm doing a town hall kind of thing. I'd love to hear from you about what's been working the last couple of years and what sort of programming, content, resources you'd like to see in year 3. I look forward to talking to you then. It's going to be September 10th, 2 p.m. We'll be meeting on Zoom. If anyone doesn't feel comfortable with that, you want to talk with me beforehand, you want to send me an email, please feel free to reach out. I appreciate you. Let's get ready together. Thanks, folks. Bye.